Good afternoon, fellas. Welcome to my blog this afternoon, Tuesday, and it's been a really hot day again today, all across South Africa. Mosquitoes are climbing into me, and sun is going down. Hopefully, a little bit of rain tonight. We need it. Big shout out to all my friends overseas, those in Natal and those up in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and across the planet. Very good afternoon. Making headlines tonight, Richard Mapanya passes away. His funeral taking place today. All the South African schools go back tomorrow, or rather the kids go back to school tomorrow. And on the cards, stage 8 load shedding. Guys, nothing good to write home about. You know, the implications of stage 8, dudes, I don't think you really know how this is going to hammer our country economically. And those people who run small industries, who work from home, who rely on the national grid for electricity, it's going to affect all of us. Telecommunications, for one. All those cell phone towers, Vodacom, the MTN, and the rest of them, they're all going to suffer. We're going to have dropouts with our cell phones because the towers can only run for a certain amount of time without electricity. They run on battery backup. I know that MTN has gone and spent copious amounts of money upgrading their battery packs. But even then, if you figure it out, stage 8 is like practically half the day without power. It will obviously be staggered across the day and the evening. But nevertheless, you know, those towers, those batteries have to recoup once they've run their 2 hours to deliver power to the actual transmitters. They've then got to recoup when they are fed Eskom power back to recharge those batteries. And it's just not going to be a quick enough turnaround time for those batteries to recoup, which means dropouts across the telecommunication network. Also, industry, big and small. Think about it, guys. Huge industry. If you look along Maiden Road, all the machinery that relies on Eskom power, the smelting works, guys who run engineering companies, milling, mining, it's going to affect them so badly, guys. Hospitals rely on electricity. They've got they've got generators which run for a certain amount of time, well, obviously while the power is out. But those people who are on life support, they have to have power 24/7, which means running those generators 8 hours a day. It's going to cost them huge amounts of money for diesel and petrol to run those generators. Water and sewage rely on electricity. Obviously, water, the pumps rely on electricity to pump water to our houses, and the sewage to pump it out to sea. If those don't run, if there's no electricity, the sewage just kind of blocks up and backs up, and we've got shit all over Durban, Natal. It's bad, guys. It's bad. Transportation. Petrol stations. There's going to be queues at the filling stations, and guaranteed you're on your way to work. You need to put petrol in your motor car. You pull into the garage, and that's what happened to me today. I went down to the garage and just got there to put some fuel in my motorcycle, and the frigging power went out. So I had to now start looking for a petrol station that had electricity. It's not a pretty sight, guys. This was announced this morning on SAFM, and I think most of you guys will probably have heard through social media or on television, or you will hear tonight. It will be mentioned on SATV, I'm sure, that they are considering stage 8 load shedding. And just to explain it now, here's an old audio clip that took place when we had stage 6 load shedding. But for those of you guys who are not in the know, take a listen.
Eskom has done it again. On Monday, South Africa found itself for the first time in stage 6 load shedding. What does it mean? What does it mean for you? What does it mean for South Africa and the economy? Now, unfortunately, Eskom has found itself in a situation where they have had a number of breakdowns, and that has also been compounded by the fact that it's raining outside, which means that a lot of the coal supplies, or a lot of coal that is sitting outside of the power stations, has also become wet. Now, with each progressive stage of load shedding, South Africa will be balancing out by taking out 1,000 megawatts from the national grid. So at stage 1 load shedding, you're taking out 1,000 megawatts, all the way up to stage 6, where you're now taking out 6,000 megawatts. So yesterday, for the first time, when Eskom announced stage 6, they were shedding out 6,000 megawatts. Now the stages go all the way up to stage 8, and for a long time municipalities have had their stages and their schedules up to stage 4. in 2 and 4 hour incremental blocks depending on that municipality schedule. At stage 8 load shedding, which is the most extreme, there will be no electricity for up to 50% of the day, which is 12 hours. Now, going forward, what does it mean practically on the ground? We've seen for a number of days now that businesses have found it hard to operate because of the power cuts, and then obviously there's the power at our various homes, and then you have a possible appliance damage. Together with all that is the fact that some of the power stations around the country have been blowing up simply because these are power stations that are meant to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, but are now being switched on and off periodically, something that they are not meant to do. So going forward, what should we be looking out for? So some people are warning that we may see that stage 8 coming along, especially if the rain doesn't subside and if some of the breakages don't get fixed. So as South Africans, the best thing that can be done is to just make sure that you are informed, you know your schedule, you know what time the power is going to go out, and you make sure that you act accordingly in terms of switching off and making sure that you plan around when you're going to charge the phones, when you're going to cook and the like. Hopefully this will not be the status quo for the rest of the festive season.
Well, as I said, that is an old audio clip from December. But for those who are not kind of too clued up on how the stages work, basically that's explained in a nutshell. Now, stage 8 never got as far as stage 8. We did stage load shedding stage 6 once, and people on that day panicked. We had half of Durban at all the Chinese shops buying any old crap they could buy and could lay their hands on, so they could have lights and have television, etc. And as I'm glad that he actually said, substations aren't designed to be switched on and off and on and off. They're there for a reason, and that's basically to drop the high voltage down to a low voltage. And if there is a fault on the line, they switch off and then basically kick back in again once the fault has been rectified. But they're not there to be switched on and off like switchgear. And they're burning out, guys, all over the country. A couple of substations blew up not so long ago in our area because of load shedding. The other implication that we have, of course, is when the power goes out, it's not that bad. I mean, all right, we plunged into darkness. It's when the power comes back on, it peaks, it goes high. That's when you start losing PC boards and your fridges, your microwaves, your hi-fi sets, your television sets. Everything that you have at home practically runs on a PC board. And when the power comes back on, it goes high. Those little boards get fried, they get cooked, they end up by me, I end up charging you, and it's just an inconvenience, basically. It costs you a lot of money, and you're not responsible. Eskom should be paying and footing the bill for this, but they're not. And it's due to infrastructure. It's due to assholes running Eskom. Simple as that. They've got a brand new CEO now in the helm, but he's in for a hell of a time. He's in for ultimate shit. And it's not going to take 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 people to fix this. It's going to take, as Ted Blum said, a period of 5 years. They've got to start opening coal mines. So they've got to start mining for coal. They've got to fix the old broken down power stations. They've got to get Kasinga and Madupi up and running. They're only running at about 50%. And every single day that goes by is another day closer to the grid completely failing. And this is what happens when the grid fails, guys. This happened in Venezuela.
Without any power, you can't buy food. You can't get fuel for a generator. Hospitals are struggling to keep on working. It's a country in darkness. People are dying.
This is a true story. This is what happened in Venezuela, and it could very well certainly happen to us.
This is a story that may go away for you as a viewer after you watch this. This is a story that doesn't go away for me as a journalist. It stays with me constantly because I'm incredibly worried for what's going to happen with the people I know and my relatives in the country. My family, as most Venezuelan families, is quite big, so I've got quite a big spread of people in different parts of the country. A lot of people I'm talking to regularly tell me about helplessness. They never thought it would come to this. This is like The Walking Dead. This is like living in the apocalypse. You can't go to a cash machine. You can't get on the internet. You cannot go to a shop and buy something you need.
Mira las verduras dañándose. Una nevera dañada con un apagón.
I've been speaking to doctors in different hospitals, and they tell me how much of a struggle it is to keep, for instance, intensive care equipment going. So children with intensive care equipment had to be switched off. And when I asked her, but what happens to them in the meantime, she was like, well, they are in the hands of God. A lot of my family are asking me in London what's going on in the country, because there is no way to check on your phone, or they're trying to call other people but the mobile phone systems are down. And I just still don't think we know how deep of a problem it still is, because some regions are virtually out of reach.
Yo no puedo estar en esto. Mira cómo almaceno el agua. Está cocinando pollo para ver si se salva.
The government is calling this a cyber attack, but I think the widespread view is most likely Venezuela has been suffering from power shortages for at least 10 years, and this is just the result of a huge infrastructure failing. I think the major worry for all Venezuelans is that if there is a structural problem with the main dam that provides hydro energy to all of the country, then this is not going to go away.
Guys, take this for real. Don't just now, after I've finished and said cheerio, good night. Think about it seriously, guys. This has huge implications on us. It happened to Venezuela. It can just as well easily happen to us. And as the journalist said, he said, they blamed it on a cyber attack, but his personal views were it was basically down to old and decrepit infrastructure and equipment. The same thing is happening here. And guys, we're on the verge of an absolute calamity. Mark my words, guys. I'm not being a doomsday prepper, but this can very easily happen to us. I'm a technician. I know how. Well, when I say I know how, I more or less know how the grid works. And when the grid does collapse, if 2 or 3 main grids go down, the whole system collapses, and then it's absolute chaos. Have you ever walked out into your street, if you've been load shedded, and looked around you? You cannot see your hand in front of your face. It is pitch black. The criminals come out. They've got the run of the streets. You're vulnerable. You've got no lights. You've got no telecommunications. It's just a matter of time, a day or two, and the cell phone towers will go down. The banking institutions will collapse. Your money will be worthless. Whatever cash you've got at home will be a kind of buying power that you've got. And that's going to be hopeless, because shopping centres will be empty. People will go in and they'll buy everything they can to stock up at home. You won't be able to go anywhere in your car because filling stations won't be running. You won't have running water because the pumps run on electricity. Guys, it's only a matter of days. We're okay, a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there. We've kind of, everything's been good. But give it a day or two with no electricity, guys, and then you'll start thinking seriously about, why didn't I listen to Graham and do something while I had the time? You won't be able to shoot down to Mantec and go and buy some solar panels and batteries, because all the big companies will be closed. They'll be looking after their families at home. They won't be able to do transactions. There'll be no money, no cash registers. There'll be no transportation. Petrol's going to run out. Guys, it's a serious state of affairs. Take me for real, please, and do something about it. I was watching, I'm going to find the clip if I can in a short while. There's a guy there, Loving Life. I don't know whether you ever kind of gone onto that. If you type in on YouTube, Loving Life, it's a fella who's an ex-South African who kind of does a posting like I do every day on YouTube. And he was talking about exactly what we were up against. I'll see if I can find it at the end of the show. Now, my suggestions, guys, are get some food into the house. The next week or so, providing shit doesn't happen within that time, go and buy some perishable or non-perishable items like, rice, dried fruit, long life milk, stock up on water, fresh water. Get yourself tin food, baked beans and bully beef and stuff that you can kind of see you through for a couple of days, hopefully. Get yourself a gas cooker, get yourself a bottle of gas, and obviously a kettle that you can put on the gas stove. A good thing to invest in is a gas heater, or not a gas heater, a gas geyser rather, and that you can get hold of Peter Burns, the Footprint gas guy. They work very well. I've got one installed, and basically you just if you've got water. I mean, I'm off the grid completely, so I have a pump, and I have a tank which you can see behind me, and you pump the water up to the house via the pump through the gas geyser under pressure, and when the tap is opened, pressure drops, the gas kicks in, and you've got boiling hot water to have a nice hot bath. So kind of invest in this kind of stuff, guys. And people are asking me, what are the most important things that we should run in our house? And I was thinking about it really seriously. The most important thing in your house is your fridge, because you might have a couple of R1,000 worth of meat in your fridge. Now, people are saying, oh, well, we need our TV, and we need the entertainment center, and we need the Xbox. And no, you don't. Your fridge is probably your most important thing in your house. The microwave, do without it. It draws a lot of power. Look, to go out and outfit yourself like I have is going to cost you close on 50,000, 60,000 Rand. And you're running out of time. You're going to have panels put up. You've got to have a solar regulator. You've got to have a good inverter. You've got to have batteries to store your power. So for those guys who are looking for a quick fix, get yourself an inverter, a pure sine wave inverter, perhaps a 2 or 3 kilowatt inverter that's able to run your fridge and perhaps a deep freeze. The rest of the power, use it on a small TV set, on your PC. You can charge your phone. Make sure you've got lighting. Make sure that your alarm system has battery backup. Well, there's another scenario, because ADT and Park Patrol, all the security companies who look after your home, they're going to be in the same shit that we are, because they're not going to have electricity either. They're going to have generators which will run for a certain amount of time, but eventually, after a day or two, I don't know. They will have to rely on batteries or generators with lots of fuel to keep them going. So, gas is very important. Water is most important. And, of course, not forgetting your pets, your animals, your dogs, your cats, your hamsters, your fish, your whatever, guinea pigs. Make sure that they've all got food. When you're going to stock up at home, make sure you've remembered the dogs and the cats, cat food, dog food, fish food, pellets, stuff like that, because they also need to be fed. As I was saying, shopping centres are going to run out of commodities within 2-3 days of having no electricity if the grid fails, and it's going to be a bad state of affairs. Now, take me seriously, guys. I'm going to try and find this clip that I looked at today. So just bear with me, guys. I've only got 2 hands. I can only do one thing at a time, all right? So let me just have a quick look here. I don't think, damn it. I think I'll do it tomorrow. Let me have a look on this phone quickly, guys. Just bear with me a second, all right? I'll be more jacked up a little later this week, but right now I'm kind of just looking for this. Damn it, I hope I can find it. It might be here. No, I just can't find it. No. All right, I'll do that clip tomorrow. So guys, look, take me for real. We are teetering on the chances of losing the grid. Stage 8 seems to be the talk of the town right now. And if that happens, remember, it's 8 hours without electricity throughout the day and the evening. So guys, just, look after yourselves. If you need any help, any info, you can get me on Facebook. Just send me a friend's request and I will accept. And then if there's any questions that I can help you with, I'm more than willing to do so. From me, Graham, Techno Wizard here in Durban, South Africa. Take care. Good night. Look after yourselves. Love your animals. And all being well, we'll catch you tomorrow.